And now John was somewhere down below, watching my back and judging my golden voice. "You look like a pussy up there," was the first thing he said. I scanned the sea of faces below. "Where the hell are you?" "Close enough to know you can't sing for that prospect shit." The bastard was still laughing as I hung up on him. Meanwhile, as hell was breaking loose inside the casino, a former member of the Vagos Orange chapter had shown up uninvited to Tramp's party. Weeks earlier, the man had been run down the road, which meant the Vagos had confiscated his patch and motorcycle, then booted him out of Green Nation. His former brothers were stomping the party crasher between the slot machines as little old ladies leapt for their lives. After that fiasco, Buffalo Bills management banned the Vagos from their casino forever, which lasted right up until the next time the Vagos were banned forever. When I arrived back at the apartment that evening, Jenna was waiting for me at the door. Guess she must have missed me because I was barely inside before she pulled down my pants, dropped to her knees, and got down to business. Yep, that was a pretty satisfying welcoming home, and it would have been better had I remembered to turn off the recorder, an oversight I would later regret. Jenna polished me off and staggered, weak needed for the kitchen, hitching my pants up along the way. As I reached the fridge for a cold beer, there was a pounding at the door. Before Jenna could open it, Jack Fight came barging through. Those who know Jack best used to call him Satan, and everyone said he would die in prison. The man was a local legend when I was a teenager growing up in Hemet, a brutal son of a bitch who lived up to his name and had the long rap sheet to prove it. There was a time before I got my head straight when I was an admirer of Jack's, but the day he beat the knees off a blind man with a ball-peen hammer was the day my infatuation ended. The Hemet Vagos knew Fight's reputation, but Todd thought the chapter could use more muscle, so he convinced Roy to pass Jack into the club straight away. Wasn't long before Big Roy realized his mistake. Jack Fight wasn't what you call a team player. He was a dangerous force of nature that did as he pleased, and nobody, not even the chapter president, could control such a man. I was caught in the eye of that storm the day Jack came looking to kill someone. He knew I owned a .380 and wanted to use it to settle a score for a drug deal gone bad. "Where's the gun?" he demanded, cornering me in the kitchen. I looked past him to the living room where Jenna stood frozen. She was well aware of Fight's reputation too. Billy, the father of her child, was related to Jack. "Get the gun," I told her. Jenna was smarter than me though, and wasn't about to become an accessory to murder. "I don't know where it is," she said. Jack immediately sniffed a lie. "Give me the gun, bitch," he exploded at her. "I swear I don't know, Jack." He pulled a pair of handcuffs from his jacket pocket. The man spun quickly and hit me in the face with the cuffs. A blow felt my back teeth. "Run, Jenna," I shouted. The girl didn't have to be told twice. She bolted out the front door, and now that crazed Vago's anger was focused squarely on me. "I want that gun," Jack raged. "Give me the fucking gun." As he was saying this, the fucker was pummeling the snot out of me, splitting my head open and knocking me to the kitchen floor. Now I was lying helpless on the bloody linoleum, and Jack was stomping my legs. I couldn't defend myself either. Jack Fight was a patch holder, and I was nothing but a lowly prospect. Under the Vagos rules of engagement, a patch member had the right to kick a prospect's ass whenever he felt like it. Of course, once I heard the bone snap in my leg, all bets were off. Fuck the code. The bastard was trying to kill me. I managed to stand and escape out the back door, hopping and stumbling my way toward the backyard fence. There was no vaulting it like the bad old days. The best I could do was claw my way over the top and fall down the other side to safety. A few days later, Jack drove his panel truck over to Sababa Reservation to settle the score and got shot in the head by a terrified Indian. The bullet entered above one ear, traveled around his skull, and blew out the other side. Jack got back in his truck, drove 3 miles, and collapsed on a sidewalk in San Jacinto. When I learned the son of a bitch who put my leg in a cast had been taken to the hospital with a bullet wound in the head, my first thought was, gee, I hope he dies. No such luck. The man was out in 2 days. It would take more than a bullet to kill Satan. That ugly encounter with Jack Fight raised some alarming truths about this strange new world I'd signed up for. I wanted Operation 22 Green to succeed. I had to play by outlaw rules. Trouble was, those rules could get me killed. I was operating in a weird no man's land with my hands tied and a big target slapped on my back, one that invited any patch member to kick my ass. And not only Had I crossed into the Vogel's world, the Vogels had crossed into mine. That wild man had appeared one day looking for a place to stay, and my buddy hadn't had the balls to turn him away. Poor Joe. He was so spooked by crazy Doug that he wouldn't even sleep in his own bed, crashing instead on a couch he dragged inside the parking lot and left beside the trailer. I'm not sure what the hell went on behind the walls of the Brown family home, but clearly something screwy happened with Todd and Doug. One was a certified asshole and the other was certifiably nuts. Big Doug was one of those dudes you tried not to make eye contact with, because if you stare into the eyes of a crazy fuck too long, they can do crazy fucking things. He was among the first recruits passed into the Hemet chapter thanks to his little brother, but it wasn't long before the man became more trouble than he was worth. Doug was going around town, beating people up, taking their dope, and saying the Vogels were backing him up. The rest of the time, he was high on meth, which, from Big Roy's standpoint, made him about as useless as a tits on a bull. The rest of the time, he was high on meth, which, from Big Roy's standpoint, made him about as useless as tits on a bull. Fed up with Big Doug's erratic behavior, Roy finally dispatched Todd to pull his brother's patch. When Todd showed up to the trailer to give his big brother the news, Doug didn't take it very well. He showed his displeasure by pulling the revolver and firing several rounds at Todd's feet. Once his brother was through dancing, Doug slipped through a hole in the chain-link fence and bolted into the Santa Rosa Hills. He returned a few hours later, lifted Joe's set of keys, and stole my truck. Doug was missing for 3 days, and the whole time, Jenna had this creepy feeling the man was out there watching her. She'd stand in the window with a pair of binoculars and search the hills behind the apartments. I even buried a pressure plate outside the window where the air conditioning unit was mounted and hooked it to an alarm in case the son of a bitch tried climbing through. After 3 days, the truck showed up in the parking lot with the keys in the ignition. Later that afternoon, some of the Vogels spotted Doug strolling down a Hemet Street and gave chase. Doug flagged down a police cruiser, jumped into the back seat, and begged the cop to save his life. Big Doug Brown had finally gone round the bend, and I'm not sure that wacky bastard ever made it back again.